chips, allowing manufacturers to open flashy spaces inside its store. Morningstar analyst R.J. Hottovy says that's fine up to a point.
By having Samsung and Microsoft store within stores, you potentially give them a blueprint to take products directly to consumers with their own stores down the road.
It's kind of like charging somebody to crash on your couch. You'll make a few extra bucks, but regret it if they steal your stuff and run off. Best Buy's next test is holiday shopping, and it's going all in. Most outlets open at 6 p.m. Thanksgiving Day, and will keep selling right through the night. In New York, I'm Mark Garrison for Marketplace. Now on to one of the great emotional and logistical challenges for baby boomers, caring for parents at a distance. There are the costs of travel and time missed from work, and then there's the worry and guilt when you can't be there for sick parents. As part of a series we're calling The New Healthcare Math, a joint collaboration between Marketplace and the New York Times, we hear Lou Ellen Barkin's personal story.
I'm Lou Ellen Barkin, and I'm the president and CEO of the Alzheimer's Association New York City chapter. The most interesting thing that's happened to me in the course of a fairly long career in 3 different industries, really, is that last few years when I became my own client. And I thought sitting here at the Alzheimer's Association as the CEO, I should surely be able to handle my own situation. And I was shocked, really shocked, to find out how vulnerable I was. And much of that was really associated with the fact that my mother and father had lived in Florida for many years. They had really made a life for themselves there. So it became imperative for me to travel back and forth to Florida to help my mom take care of my father originally when his Alzheimer's became a big issue. And later on when she became ill and had a stroke, I had to run back and forth to take care of her. It was extremely difficult. I'm 68 years old now. The year that this really started was around 1987. That year, my father had some surgery, and he was under the anesthetic for a fairly long time. And in the recovery period, we all noticed his memory was really very much impaired, and he seemed kind of spacey to all of us. He died in November of 2001, shortly after 9/11, in what was really surely one of the saddest months or years of my life. My mom, in that period, spent all of their resources caring for him. And so my brother and I have decided that we would share the expense for caring for my mother, but she didn't want to come back to New York. My parents' finances were very old-fashioned, meaning that I don't think my mother or father ever expected to live as long or need the kind of money they needed. What I've done for my children is to be very clear about what our wishes are. And the other thing we've done is we have not ever said to them the one thing you must never say to your children, which is you may never put me in a nursing home. We have families who say that, and the children feel immense guilt because they can't possibly take care of their parents on their own. I'm not sure what money's for, really. I used to say to them all the time when I was younger, life is for living and money is for spending. When you're dead, you won't have bills. And there's a real truth to that, unless you're sick. And the problem is that as we all live longer, the thing that my husband and I fear most is, not dying and not running out of money, really. It's what we fear is that we're going to get sick and need somebody to take care of us. And having seen what that can do to somebody, that's really scary.
That's Lou Ellen Barkin in New York. The piece was produced by Kerry Donahue, and at the New York Times, Paul Sullivan. You can read more about long-distance caregivers in tomorrow's Your Money section of the Times and on our website, marketplace.org. In New York, I'm David Brancaccio with the Marketplace Morning Report. From APM, American Public Media.
Have you purchased illegal drugs in the last 2 years?
Yes, I have.
Thank you.
Big payout from a big bank.
A $13 billion settlement.
New accusations against George-Zimmerman.
He has his freaking gun breaking all of my stuff right now.
An embattled mayor vows to fight his city council.
He just stripped me of everything I had.
2 minutes for the ages.
67 years ago.
Good morning. I'm Steve Kathan with the CBS World News Roundup. The largest American bank, J.P. Morgan Chase, has agreed to pay the government $13 billion. It's a record settlement to bring to a close the investigation into risky mortgage bonds sold just before the housing market meltdown. CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger says $4 billion of the settlement will go to distressed homeowners.
This involves securities that the bank had packaged up and sold to a variety of different government entities like Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and includes the securities packaged under the J.P. Morgan brand or under any other company that it absorbed, for example, like Bear Stearns.
I'm Dan Raviv in Washington. The reported settlement would represent almost two-thirds of the annual profit most recently announced by J.P. Morgan Chase, $21 billion. Executives there have said their goal is to settle all charges and claims and move on to what the bank should be doing, making profits, they say, for its shareholders.
A few hours ago, Illinois Governor Pat Quinn added 6 counties to his disaster declaration. Now 13 counties will get help after the Sunday tornadoes that left 6 people dead in his state. Bill Baylor lives in Washington, Illinois, where a twister cut a path 1/8 of a mile wide from one end of town to the other.
All we got left are pieces. We got our lives. That's the main thing. That house just got paid off a week or two ago.
I'm Jim Crisul in Washington, Illinois. It'll be a day of picking up, cleaning up, and counting blessings for tornado victims.
This can be repaired. Hang on. We're just safe. Thank God we're safe.
The biggest immediate need here, housing. An estimated 500 homes have been destroyed, many more damaged. 60% of this town of 15,000 is simply gone.
In Illinois and a half dozen other states where there was damage, power crews are still struggling to restore electricity. In Florida, it's another run-in with the law for George-Zimmerman. The neighborhood watchman acquitted of the murder of Trayvon-Martin is now behind bars in a domestic dispute.
It's the same jail where Zimmerman was held after his arrest in the Trayvon-Martin shooting. His first court appearance is expected just over 24 hours after his girlfriend called 911.
You just broke my glass table, you just broke my sunglasses, and you put your gun in my freaking face.
Zimmerman also called 911 to deny it.
I never pulled a firearm. I never displayed it. When I was packing it, I'm sure she saw it.
Zimmerman barricaded himself inside their home. Sheriff's deputies got in and arrested him.
He has been charged with aggravated assault, battery, domestic violence, as well as criminal mischief.
Peter King, CBS News, Orlando.
Now to Toronto, where Mayor Rob Ford knocked over a city councilor as he rushed to confront opponents at a city council meeting. Ford, who's admitted to smoking crack and excessive drinking, vows outright war now that the council has stripped him of his power.
You don't kick someone when they're down. He who shall cast the first stone has never sinned. Everyone has sinned. And you know what? I admitted I sinned. I apologize. It was humiliating, degrading to come out like this. But I have.
Ford tells the CBC he's through with alcohol and insists he's not a drug addict. Another city with trouble in the mayor's office, San Diego, holds an election today. Here's CBS's Steve Futterman.
There are 4 major contenders, all hoping to replace this man.
I apologize to all of you.
Bob Filner resigned in August after being accused of sexual harassment. The frontrunner is Republican Kevin Falconer, but unless he receives 50% of the vote, there will be a runoff in February.
New York City's mayor will sign a bill today banning the sale of tobacco products there to anyone under 21. It's the first big city to take that step. The National Security Agency, under fire for months for the extent of its surveillance, admits it has, on occasion, gone too far. We're live in Washington with CBS's Peter Mayer.
The NSA has advised the Federal Intelligence Court of past violations of surveillance rules. Declassified files on the government's phone records collection program revealed improper procedures. In records dating to 2009, the agency blamed poor management, not bad faith. The administration released these heavily blacked out files in response to a civil liberties lawsuit that challenges the constitutionality of the phone gathering system. The White House says it's needed to fight terrorism.
President Obama meets with key senators in a few hours about Iran. He wants Congress to hold off on new sanctions while talks continue about the country's nuclear program. Outside Iran's embassy in Beirut, Lebanon, chaos and destruction after a pair of bombings left at least 23 dead, more than 140 injured. A group linked to Al-Qaeda has claimed responsibility. On the Health Watch, an eye-opening study on depression. CBS's Heather Bosch joins us.
Scientists found that curing insomnia in test patients doubled the odds of lifting their depression. This is significant because doctors often treat depression first and figured the insomnia will clear up. The government-funded research is the first in 4 studies on this. Scientists say if the results hold up, this could be the most significant advance in treating depression since Prozac was introduced. Depression affects about 18 million Americans.
USA Today reports a new government study found 9 of 21 diet supplements tested contained an amphetamine-like compound not mentioned on the labels. The FDA has not commented on any possible action. 150 years ago today, President Abraham Lincoln made history in a Civil War battlefield with the Gettysburg Address.
77 years ago, President Lincoln wasn't the main attraction at the consecration of a new national cemetery at Gettysburg. A speaker named Edward Everett was. He talked for about 2 hours. Lincoln talked for about 2 minutes. His speech has become a classic. Historian Gary Wills says it deserves to be.
That made us rethink things like equality, egalitarianism, what role the Declaration should play in our thinking about ourselves.
Most people, but not all, were immediately impressed by the Gettysburg Address. The Chicago Times said, "The cheek of every American must tingle with shame as he reads the silly, flat, and dish-watery utterances." The media don't always get it right. Sam Litzinger, CBS News.
Well, folks who follow the financial markets know the name Maria Bartiromo. Reports say the CNBC Money Honey, as she's been called, is joining the rival Fox Business Network. An automaker says a vehicle that runs on a hydrogen fuel cell is ready for prime time. Here's CBS's Jim Shenevy.
It's been the joke of the auto industry, the promise of a mass-produced hydrogen-powered car. Engineers have been dabbling in it since the 60s, but it was always just a decade away. Now it's finally happening, and that's no joke. Hyundai plans to announce at this week's auto show in Los Angeles that it will begin selling a hydrogen fuel cell-powered Tucson SUV next year. The Korean automaker says it's overcome safety and storage issues with a rear-mounted tank that has passed numerous crash tests without incident. Jim Shenevy, CBS News.
A California man wants Google Maps to take down an aerial image of railroad tracks near San Francisco that shows the body of his teenage son. The 14-year-old was shot and killed back in 2009. The case remains unsolved. Google admits some of its map images are several years old. That's the World News Roundup. I'm Steve Kathan, CBS News.
Welcome back to Studio 4 on this Tuesday morning. Welcome back to Studio 4 on this Tuesday morning. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit distracted. A Soma ad just popped up on my TV screen. I'm a little bit distracted. Some sort of lingerie company, I guess. But the double standard, as I was talking about the Kmart ad a few minutes ago, earlier in the show. Why is it that see a man down in his underwear, that's comic relief or disgusting, but you see a woman in her underwear and that's sexy and beautiful? The double standard there. Anyway, time for news of the weird. Boy, my mind is all over the place today. And in news of the weird for this Tuesday, and as I mentioned at the start of the show, this is concerning the war on Christmas, as it were. And now I remember what I was going to talk about. I'll get to that in just a moment. Hopefully I'll remember at the end of the segment. It's time now for news of the weird on this Tuesday. Walmart employees in a Canton, Ohio store have organized a holiday canned food drive for other employees at the store. Walmart employee posted pictures online of the food collection site and sent photos to the organization United for Respect for Walmart. Many say the photos are proof of Walmart's practice of underpaying employees. Walmart, however, says the food drive is meant to help those employees who have had unforeseen hardships recently. So, there you go. You know, if they were really concerned about hardships, I think they'd do more than just give them food. But that's a story for another day. And that's the news of the weird for this Tuesday. What was I going to say about the war on Christmas? My mind just went blank again. Damn, I should have slept more. I really should have slept more. Anyway, now it's time for popular tweets of the day.
And you can always follow me on Twitter.
Hello, computer. Just use the keyboard. The keyboard?